Chapter 114, Do You Want a Job? Wait. Feng-Ruching raised her hand to stop the leopard's movement when it entered Feng-Ruching's sight. All spirit beasts had gained their wisdom when they became spirit beasts. So, the leopard was stunned and stopped moving subconsciously when it saw Feng-Ruching's action. It looked at Feng-Ruching suspiciously. What is this human trying to say before her death? Little leopard, Feng-Ruching smiled and said in a slow and seductive voice, Do you want a job? Job? What is that? The leopard was stunned for a while. It roared and raised its paw at Feng-Ruching. A roar was heard. The snow wolf, which was hiding beside Feng-Ruching, came to stand in front of her quickly just before the paw of the leopard could hit her. The snow wolf roared and pounced onto the leopard. Initially, Feng-Ruching was scared that the force of a Tier 3 snow wolf would scare the spirit beasts away. So, Feng-Ruching asked the snow wolf to hide its force and presence. Now that the leopard saw a Tier 3 spirit beast who was standing beside the human, it was frightened, and shook in fear. Boom! The leopard fell down because it could not endure the snow wolf's weight. The leopard shook its dizzy head and looked up with vacant eyes. A smiling face entered the leopard's line of sight. Feng-Ruching used a sweet voice to persuade the leopard. Do you want a job? This time, the leopard did not act on its impulse anymore. It sat down on the floor without moving. It peered at the snow wolf in fear from time to time. You don't have to look at the snow wolf. Just look at me. Feng-Ruching raised her hand and opened the roll of paper in front of the leopard. Do you understand? The leopard still wore a blank face. What is that? The leopard did not understand. Feng-Ruching turned and looked at the snow wolf when she found that the leopard was in confusion. Are spirit beasts illiterate? The snow wolf nodded its head sincerely. Feng-Ruching's face darkened. Why didn't you tell me earlier? You're wasting my time. The snow wolf seemed innocent. But you did not ask me. How am I supposed to know what you wrote just now? Feng-Ruching was not bothered by the snow wolf. She turned and looked at the leopard. Then, I'll just make it short. I want you to work for me. I'll order somebody to tell you what you need to do. As a reward, I'll feed you a piece of divine spirit fruit every day. Feng-Ruching held out her hand, and there was a piece of divine spirit fruit in her hand. The leopard looked at the divine spirit fruit in Feng-Ruching's hand eagerly. Its saliva was threatening to fall down. It quickly used its paw to rub at its mouth. It did not accept the fruit immediately, but it fell into deep thought. Do you still need time to consider? Why do you need to consider it given that this is such a good thing? The divine spirit fruit is only just a part of it. I'll feed you more spirit herbs in the future. If I'm in a good mood, I'll even feed you spirit herbs dishes. The fragrance of the divine spirit fruit was just too good to be resisted even for a leopard. The leopard could not resist it, and lastly, it accepted it with difficulty. You're so good. Feng-Ruching patted the leopard's head. Little leopard, you're one of us from now on. Work for me, diligently, and I won't mistreat you. These innocent spirit beasts were just too easy to be fooled. On the other hand, Feng-Ruching had used quite some time when she wanted to fool the snow wolf before this. It would be more difficult if she wanted to fool the state preceptor's snake. Two of you go and stand at the side. Remember to hide your force and presence. Don't scare away other spirit beasts. Little Wolfie, go and teach the leopard how to do it. Chapter 115, Do You Want a Job? Tuo-wo. The snow wolf howled once as if indicating to Feng-Ruching that it knew what to do. Shut up. Feng-Ruching scanned the place. I'll definitely stop feeding you the divine spirit fruit for 3 days if your roar scares away the other spirit beasts. The snow wolf quickly kept its mouth shut. There's nothing more important than the divine spirit fruit. In fact, a spirit beast came down from the sky just as the two spirit beasts hid their presence. This time around, it was an eagle. It was a tier 2 spirit beast like the leopard. Its sharp claws were like long swords, and they came at Feng Ruching swiftly. The snow wolf and the leopard jumped out when the eagle was near Feng Ruching. They jumped forward and bit the eagle's claws. It hurts. It hurts. The eagle almost burst into tears. It swung its claws vigorously to escape from the leopard and the snow wolf, but in vain. It then circled around in the sky anxiously. Who can explain to it why there were a leopard and a snow wolf when it just wanted a human as a snack? Feng Ruching held out her hand to signal to the snow wolf and the leopard. The two spirit beasts understood and held on tightly to the eagle. The eagle was held still. The eagle cried at last. It looked at the young girl who was walking toward it. The smile on the girl's face made the eagle shook with fear. However, the girl stopped in front of the eagle, smiled and asked, "Do you want a job?" The sunset came, and the afterglow of the sunlight gave a soft glow to the sky. A young girl was sitting outside the forest of spirit beasts. There were a lot of spirit beasts standing behind her. The snow wolf, a leopard, an eagle, a red fox, a griffin, and a purple sable. At that very moment, the ground shook vigorously. The young girl raised her eyes and saw an incoming bear. The bear was gigantic and was running toward the girl. The bear's legs shook heavily, it might be because of its power and strength. A tier 3 earth bear. Feng Ruching's eyes narrowed. There's even a tier 3 spirit beast here. It's really so easy to gain what I want. This tier 3 earth bear must be the king of the spirit beasts in the outer region of the forest of spirit beasts. Indeed, this is only the outer area. If we go into the middle area of the forest, this earth bear is not as worthy as it is here. The snow wolf and the leopard quickly rushed forward without waiting for Feng Ruching's order. Feng Ruching did not know what they told the earth bear because she did not know their language. But she could guess its content easily. Do you want a job? After a short while, the strong and powerful earth bear restrained itself. It followed the snow wolf and came toward Feng Ruching obediently. Sure enough, I just need to come to the forest of spirit beasts on my own if I want the spirit beasts to work for me. That way, I can save a lot of money. Feng Ruching was ecstatic. A tier 3 spirit beast was so valuable that it could even act as an exceptional and precious treasure in the spirit beast court. The snow wolf nudged Feng Ruching's leg with its head as if telling her not to forget about its value. Little wolfie, I'll not punish you anymore given that you've contributed a lot today. Feng Ruching smiled and patted the snow wolf on its head. The snow wolf was stunned. What about its reward? But, if you sign a contract with me, Feng Ruching's eyes narrowed. I'll feed you more divine spirit fruits every day. The snow wolf was so excited that it roared loudly. Contract. Let's sign the contract now. Quickly. Feng Ruching's smile deepened when she saw how happy the snow wolf was. Let's go now. I'll give you some tasks to do after we go back. Chapter 116, An Attack by the Spirit Beasts. Princess Feng Ruching had disappeared. This news was like a whirlwind and it traveled fast in Luyun Kingdom. The princess was missing since bringing the snow wolf out of the princess manor in the morning. The imperial guards who were guarding the entrance of the princess manor never stopped the princess from heading out because they knew that there were 2 other imperial guards who followed the princess everywhere she went. But they never considered the possibility of the princess dismissing the imperial guards. It was a whole day since the princess had gone out. It was evening now and she had yet to return. Many imperial armies galloped at a high speed in the busy street of the imperial city. It scared the vendors, and all of the vendors hid in the corners without uttering a word. They could foresee that this imperial city would always be in chaos when the princess went missing. Did the princess really leave with the snow wolf? Mu Qing'er was stunned and looked at the imperial guards at the side of the road. She was worried. The prince's disappearance was a good thing for them if this had happened in the past. They did not have to worry that they might infuriate the evil princess every day they went out the door. However, she understood that the princess had indeed changed after the 2 previous encounters. The princess has changed. She will not simply leave the place with the snow wolf. Xiao Yang sighed. He consoled himself like this in his heart. But he still could not believe that the princess could survive under the claws and teeth of the snow wolf after spending time alone with the snow wolf. Moreover, it was an untamed snow wolf. Lin Yueying, who was standing beside Mu Qing'er, tugged at Mu Qing'er's sleeve quickly to stop Mu Qing'er from speaking anymore. Mu Qing'er was stunned as she saw a familiar and beautiful figure when she raised her head. The young girl's body was slender and her waist was slim. She was holding a feather fan and she used it to cover her smile. "Are you waiting for my sister?" Feng Rishuang smiled. Luckily, no one noticed her smile because of her fan. "My sister was so stubborn. Tier 3 spirit beasts are very savage. I've advised her before, but she never listens. She just wants the Tier 3 spirit beasts." Mu Qing'er bit her lips and kept quiet. Nobody spoke. All of them looked at the slim figure in front of them. "My sister would be fine if there were imperial guards protecting her. Who knew that my sister was so brave to dismiss the imperial guards? She told me once that she could tame that snow wolf, she would dismiss the other people. Now, my sister might never come back." Feng Riching sounded so anguished. She blinked her eyes and there were even a few tears running down her cheek. Her eyebrows showed great sadness. It was a pitiful sight. Everybody present might have believed that Feng Rishuang was indeed anxious about her sister if the present situation was not that serious. Second princess. Xiao Yang's eyebrows knitted. "Do you know that the young master from the general manor, Nailan Jing, is almost on the verge of insanity? All the people in the general manor have gone out to search for the princess." Feng Rishuang was stunned. Her gentle voice showed great worry. "I am most certainly anxious about the disappearance of my sister. But I've advised her for so many times, but she never listens. What can I do?" "Anxious?" Xiao Yang sneered and laughed sarcastically. "If you're indeed worried about your sister, how do you have the time to tell us this nonsense here? You always say that you have an intimate relationship with your sister and you're always so caring about her. So, why are you not searching for her anxiously now that she is missing? Why do you still have time to come and look for us?" Chapter 117, An Attack by the Spirit Beasts. Tu Xiaoyang did not care about Feng Rishuang's status, and it might be because of his disappointment. But everybody knew that His Majesty had never favored Feng Rishuang. If His Majesty knew that Feng Rishuang came out to gossip about this incident, His Majesty would not punish Xiaoyang no matter what he did. Why should he be worried? Mu Qing'er and Lin Yueying still kept quiet. "That's right. Aren't you worried about her? Now that she's missing, why do you have the time to chat with us? Isn't it better if you go and look for her instead of staying here?" This kind of concern seems so hypocritical. Feng Rishuang's facial expression changed. All of these sons and daughters of the ministers had favored her before because of the effort and time she put in. Now that they had gotten along well with Feng Riching several times, her effort these past few years had gone to waste. "Xiao Yang." Feng Rishuang kept her worried look but with a hint of a sneer in her eyes. She smiled coldly. "Have you forgotten what Feng Riching did to you before? Now you're on her side because of a herbal dish. Xiao Yang was stunned. He looked at Feng Rishuang for a short while. Then, he lowered his gaze. Second princess, you're really envious of her. They never noticed it all these past years. Besides, they had been lied to all along. They had always respected the second princess before. However, many things did not make sense. All of these things made sense now and they had started to doubt Feng Rishuang. I remember now. Lin Yueying bit her lips. She took 2 steps forward. You had always appeared at the right moment every time Feng Rishuang bullies us. You appeared and you helped us. Just like that, Feng Rishuang would always let us go when you came to help. It seems that the first princess was just too dumb to notice it. You've used her well. Second princess, aren't you afraid that His Majesty would know about it? Mu Qing'er was always timid and shy. But, as she came and stood beside Lin Yueying now. Mu Qing'er looked at Feng Rishuang angrily. In fact, Feng Rishuang was not the only dumb person here. They were all fooled by Feng Rishuang before. They never would have known Feng Rishuang's true self if Feng Rishuang did not disappear this time. How long would they be fooled by her? Feng Rishuang was rather annoyed. She was really happy about Feng Rishuang's disappearance. His Majesty was so nervous and anxious that he could not be bothered about her. So, she had snuck out of the palace just to celebrate it in a deserted place. She never guessed that she would encounter these people on her way out. Hence, she did not hide her excitement properly. Nobody knew that they would look right through her just because of this small incident. What you have said is useless now. Feng Rishuang was in a good mood. She did not blame these people for their impertinence. She just sighed softly and said, I've advised her when she tried to buy the Tier 3 snow wolf. Her strength is so low that she could never tame the snow wolf. If she still wanted to buy it, it would be the end for her. But she never listened. What could I do? Now, she's so brave that she dares to spend time alone with the snow wolf. It's just like feeding herself to the snow wolf. What she has done is like committing suicide. It's pointless for me to be anxious and nervous about her. Liu Yuchen was so ashamed to mention the role of the snow wolf as a doorkeeper at the Princess Manor after he was attacked by the snow wolf. So, nobody knew about it. Second princess. Lin Yueying clenched her fists tightly. The princess has just gone missing. How would you know if she's dead? Chapter 118, An Attack by the Spirit Beasts. 3 Feng Rishuang sneered inwardly. But, her face was calm. Feng Rishuang's only a beginner warrior tier while the snow wolf is a tier 3 spirit beast. Do you think that there's any chance that my sister could win? That's only lying to yourselves. You, Lin Yueying was offended. But, she saw a small figure pass by her side just then. Lin Yueying was shocked and she quickly held on to the person who was walking toward the entrance of the city. It was Dyer. Dyer, why are you here? Why did Dyer leave General Manor? Do the people in General Manor know about it? Naylin Dyer was shocked. She turned and saw Feng Rishuang first. She was frightened and she quickly moved closer to Lin Yueying. Villain. Big villain. Lin Yueying and the others were stunned. Naylin Dyer had always been kept locked in the General Manor after that incident. Moreover, Naylin Dyer and Feng Rishuang had never appeared in front of the others together. So, Lin Yueying and the others did not know that Naylin Dyer was that frightened of Feng Rishuang. Dyer, just head back to the General Manor. If not, your grandfather would be worried. Lin Yueying looked at Feng Rishuang before she turned to look at Dyer and ordered. Naylin Dyer was still shaking with fear. Her eyes were filled with tears. The sight of her was pitiful. My brother said that my cousin has gone to Forest of Spirit Beasts. He went to search for her. I want to go too. Dyer, aren't you afraid of her? My cousin is a good person. She's not a villain. I'm not afraid of her. My cousin does not bully me anymore. I'm not afraid of her now. Zhao Yang suddenly took a few steps forward. He held Dyer's shoulders. Dyer, did you say that the princess has gone to the Forest of Spirit Beasts? Forest of Spirit Beasts? What kind of place is that? There's a tier 3 spirit beast next to the princess. Why does she need to go to the Forest of Spirit Beasts? Dyer nodded. I want to go and search for my cousin. She was eavesdropping on the conversation between her father and her brother. Then, she discovered that the princess had gone to the Forest of Spirit Beasts. Her grandfather was very anxious about it. She could then leave General Manor when nobody was free to bother about her. But, I don't know the way. Dyer lowered her head in sadness. She did not know which way led to the Forest of Spirit Beasts. Suddenly, Feng Rishuang laughed sarcastically. It seems that my sister will never come back alive. Not to mention the tier 3 spirit beast, the snow wolf. Any spirit beasts from the outer area of the Forest of Spirit Beasts could easily take her life. It's a pity. It's too unfortunate. His Majesty had only 2 daughters. If Feng Riching was dead, then Feng Rishuang could claim the throne as well as the world. No one can threaten my status now. Feng Rishuang laughed hysterically in her heart. Feng Rishuang wanted to laugh out loud. But, her laugh was stopped short. A sound which could move the earth and sway the mountain was heard from outside of the entrance of the city. It scared the Imperial Guards and all of them pulled out their weapons in fear. They looked far ahead nervously. There was smoke and dust everywhere. It was like a storm had come and the dust was swirled all around the place. There was an image of a wolf in the midst of the dust. In addition to that, a plump body was seated on top of the wolf. The Imperial Guards rubbed at their eyes nervously. Suddenly, they realized that it was not only an image in the midst of the dust. Quick! Go and report to the general. The spirit beasts had come to attack the city. Go quickly. An Imperial Guard was fast to react. He quickly rushed into the city. Chapter 119, An Attack by the Spirit Beasts. For an attack by the Spirit Beasts. The people in the Imperial City soon felt frightened after hearing about it. There were quite a number of warriors in this Imperial City. There was never an incident where the spirit beasts would come and attack the city. Even so, the people would surely die when the warriors rushed to the rescue. Let's go quickly. Lu Yueying's facial expression changed. She held Dyer's hand and led her away from the scene. She never even guessed that Dyer would let go of her hand and rush toward the entrance of the city. Dyer! Lin Yueying shouted anxiously. A cold sweat dripped down along her spine. She could not leave Dyer behind. She said, Go and report to General Manor. I'll go and search for Dyer. Dyer was weak and she could not move fast enough. Lin Yueying reached her soon after. She was on the verge of leading Dyer away when suddenly, she saw a familiar figure in the midst of the dust. Her eyes narrowed at the sight. The snow wolf walked far ahead in the group of the spirit beasts. It walked proudly with elegant steps. Its eyes looked evil and they were filled with disdain toward the human. There were other spirit beasts behind the snow wolf and the young girl. A leopard, an eagle, a red fox, a griffin, and a purple sable. There was even an earth bear. That's a tier 3 earth bear. It seems like the earth bear is the king of the spirit beasts in the outer region of the Forest of Spirit Beasts. I've fought with it before and I could not win in the fight. Why is it here? Has its wife been kidnapped by anybody in the city? Has it come to attack the city? Wait. Don't you think that the plump body on top of the snow wolf looks familiar? That seems to be Princess Feng. Everybody seemed to compose themselves. They looked at the girl who had brought a group of spirit beasts and had entered the imperial city and shocked the entire city. The imperial guards who were guarding the entrance of the city did not recover their senses. They looked at the princess and the group of spirit beasts without any response. They did not dare to stop them from entering the city. They just looked at the princess and the spirit beasts blankly. Feng was shocked when she entered the city. There seemed to be a lot of people gathered at the entrance of the city today. There were even a few familiar faces in the crowd. All of them looked at her and it made her feel uneasy. Why are you here? She rode on the snow wolf and moved toward Lin Yueying and the group. The group of people who were intending to go to General Manor to report the incident had now stopped halfway. The street was so quiet now that even the sound of the fallen leaves could be heard. Cousin. Dyer shook off Lin Yueying's hand and ran toward Feng happily. It seemed that Dyer was a little bit afraid of the snow wolf. She stopped before reaching Feng and looked at Feng eagerly. Snow wolf. Feng face darkened. The snow wolf was so frightened that it almost got down on its stomach. I did not do anything wrong. Why is she always so angry with me? But the snow wolf did not resist Feng. It walked toward Dyer and wagged its tail happily. It even licked Dyer's sweet face. The crowd stayed silent. Was it a wolf or a dog? Lin Yueying sighed in relief after realizing that the snow wolf was very obedient. Then, she turned and looked at Feng Rixuang, who was still there, as if challenging her presence. Didn't you say that the snow wolf is ferocious and savage, and that it would never be tamed by Feng and would even eat Feng? Chapter 120. Feng Rixuang was dumbfounded. Feng Rixuang stood rooted to the spot, her eyes were filled with shock and disbelief. As she could feel the many curious eyes staring at her, she grew increasingly aggrieved. She pursed her lips, and the color drained from her face. What has made Feng so special? Someone in the palace has actually helped her tame the snow wolf, but I get nothing at all. Feng has even ruined the good reputation that I have built with effort over the years. With Feng's capability, she was naturally not capable of taming a Tier 3 spirit beast. Feng Rixuang thought someone in the palace must have tamed the snow wolf for her. Sister, it's great that you have returned. I thought that you have become the snow wolf's meal. This spirit beast is too vicious, even if someone has tamed it for you, it might not bow its head to you. Feng Rixuang heaved a sigh, suppressed her anger, and walked toward Feng with a forced smile on her face. Originally, Feng Rixuang only wanted to mock at Feng. However, her words had actually stirred up the snow wolf's anger. Suddenly, the snow wolf howled furiously and gave Feng Rixuang a hard kick. Caught off guard, Feng Rixuang was sent flying backward and finally falling into the crowd. The flying kick had nearly broken her bones. Her head was covered in cold sweat as the color drained from her face. However, this time, the people around her were just watching from not a far distance. Not only did none of them walk over and help her on her feet, no one actually cared about her. Howl! The snow wolf pointed its claws at Feng Rixuang. A furious rage like a fire swept over its body. Its eyes stared indignantly at Feng Rixuang with murderous intent as if craving for human flesh. What does this vicious woman wants to say? Since when did this snow wolf of the heavenly mountain mess with Feng Rixuang? And she even said that the snow wolf was not loyal and respectful to the master. Had she ever seen such an obedient dog, wolf? Apparently, this vicious woman wanted to take away the divine spirit fruit. The snow wolf would definitely not allow her to slander its good name. Seeing the snow wolf angrily pointing its claws at Feng Ruqing's face darkened a few shades. The snow wolf kept howling, but who was capable of understanding what it was trying to say? Speak human language, Feng Ruqing patted the snow wolf's head as she said. The snow wolf turned to look at Feng Ruqing. Do you think a wolf could speak human language? Do you think a wolf could turn into a human? Cough. Cough. Feng Ruqing coughed as she got up from the ground. With a pale face, her glazed eyes swept over the people surrounding her, waiting to watch her reaction. She could not help but feel a hint of fear in her heart. Feng Ruqing had always been so kind to these people. Whenever Feng Ruqing bullied them, she would stand up and stop her. Now that they had actually turned their heads to please Feng Ruqing. Great! I would never let these people off easily. Feng Ruqing's malicious gaze swept past the people surrounding her before she turned and stumbled forward desolately. Cousin Ruqing, this big wolf looks like a dog. Seeing that the snow wolf was so adorable and obedient, Dyer was no longer scared. She tugged at the corner of Feng Ruqing's sleeve as she said, "Yup, this is a watchdog." Feng Ruqing stroked Dyer's head. The snow wolf that Feng Ruqing rode on nodded enthusiastically. Chapter 121. Feng Ruqing was dumbfounded too. The snow wolf was a wolf. Well, everything was fine as long as the snow wolf got the divine spirit fruit. Dyer, let me send you home. Feng Ruqing stretched her arm to carry Dyer and let her sit on the snow wolf's back. Dyer was extremely curious and excited. Her hands were stroking ceaselessly at the snow wolf's hair as she grinned. The sound of her laughter was bright and cheerful. Yuing, Xiaoyang, and Qing'er, do you want to go to General Manor together? Feng Ruqing turned to ask the few people next to her. A bright smile hung on her lips. Your Highness, as you have not returned to Princess Manor for the whole day, His Majesty had lost his mind as he thought that something must have happened to you. The imperial troops of the imperial city are still out there looking for you. The young master of General Manor, Nailan Jing, had personally brought a squad to the Beast Mountain. Have you met him? Slightly startled, Zhao Yang nodded as he said. Feng Ruqing was rendered speechless. She had just left the imperial city for one day. It turned out that she had gone missing. It was no wonder that Feng Ruqing had actually felt that something was wrong when she stepped into the city. Tell my father that I am sending Dyer to the General Manor. I will visit him in the palace after that. Feng Ruqing turned to look at the guard at the city's gate. At your command, Your Highness, the guard at the city's gate paid his respect to the princess and answered respectfully. Let's go to the General Manor. Feng Ruqing waved her hands. When the snow wolf started moving, Dyer flew into a panic and quickly wrapped her arms tightly around Feng Ruqing. Feeling that Dyer was frightened, the snow wolf was afraid that Dyer would lose her balance and quickly slowed down. This time, Dyer was no longer scared. She loosened her grip on Feng Ruqing's body. Her two little arms held onto the snow wolf's ears. Her smile was so sweet and was capable of melting one's heart. Feng Ruqing's eyes fell on the scar on Dyer's face. A dull feeling filled her heart. When she successfully sows the great 3 spirit herbs, the scar on Dyer's face would vanish without a trace. In the private dining room on the 2nd floor of a restaurant, an enchantingly handsome young master was sitting quietly with a ceramic cup in his hand. Sitting next to him was an exquisitely gorgeous lady. Her skin was fair and not inferior to the snow. She was staring affectionately at the young master who sat next to her with a faint smile on her face. Another good-looking young master sat opposite of the two people. He was talking happily with a bright smile on his face. Lu Yuchen, Feng Ruqing was your wife after all. Simply no one thought that she would die in the Beast Mountain. I heard that the young master of the general manor personally led a squad to look for her in the Beast Mountain. I'm afraid that it's too late. A tier 3 snow wolf was already out of her hands. Let alone the abundance of spirit beasts in the Beast Mountain. Each of them was capable of taking her life. Simply no one knew why Feng Ruching would go to the Beast Mountain. Did she truly think that she was capable of taming the snow wolf and that the snow wolf could protect her? Had it not been for the master in the palace, the snow wolf would have laid its hand on Feng Ruching. However, she had actually chased the master out of the palace. This time, the snow wolf would obviously not bow its head to an ordinary human. Lu Yuchen pursed his lips. He had seen the snow wolf in the general manor. It was true that the snow wolf was on Feng Ruching's side. However, Feng Ruching entered the Beast Mountain this time. As the Beast Mountain was perilous, a tier 3 snow wolf would not be capable of protecting her from danger. This time, Feng Ruching might definitely never return to the city. Thinking of this, a mixed feeling filled Lu Yuchen's heart. He disliked Feng Ruching merely because she had hurt Tan Shuangshuang. He had never thought that Feng Ruching would vanish from this world. Chapter 122, Feng Ruchuang was dumbfounded. 3 Lu Yang, how long has Nailan Jing been searching? Is there any news from him? What? Lu Yuchen, are you still hoping that Feng Ruching would return? Have you forgotten how she treated you and Shuangshuang? The whole kingdom would be thrilled if she is dead. Who wants to see her come back again? Lu Tang broke into laughter. If Feng Ruching was truly dead, his cousin, Feng Ruchuang would be the one and only princess in Luyun Kingdom. In fact, Lu Yang was just telling the truth. Who would actually wish to see Feng Ruching coming back alive? If she was dead, that was the greatest news to the whole kingdom and would make the world a better place to live. Yu Chen, Tan Shuangshuang's heart skipped a beat and grabbed Lu Yuchen's hand tightly. Her eyes were filled with anxiety. Shuanger, don't worry. You are still my one and only. Feng Ruchuang is such a devil and is extremely annoying to me. However, she has never killed a single person. Hence, I don't think she deserves to die. Lu Yuchen patted Tan Shuangshuang's hands lightly. Feng Ruching was truly evil. She had hurt so many people and had even laid her hand on Tan Shuangshuang. However, it was true that her hands were never covered in blood. Hence, Lu Yuchen thought that her sins should not have led to death. Pfft. She has never done so because my cousin Feng Ruchuang is too kind and has always stopped her from killing people. Anyways, she would never come back from the Beast Mountain again. She must have died. Lu Yang merely sneered. Lu Yuchen sighed. Lu Yang was right. Feng Ruching went into the Beast Mountain with just a tier 3 snow wolf in tow. Naturally, it was impossible for her to return safe and sound. After all, there were actually a lot of tier 3 spirit beasts at the Beast Mountain. Yu Chen, I hope that the princess is safe. As you have said, she does not deserve to die. If we could start all over again, I would persuade you to spare her some love and maybe things would have gone completely different. She would not have gotten to the Beast Mountain to enhance her strength and ultimately ended her life in the beast's belly. Tan Shuangshuang lowered her eyes and said with a pitiful voice. Hearing this, Lu Yuchen's hands clung onto Tan Shuangshuang's waist tightly, as a dull ache tugged at his heart. Shuangshuang is such a kind lady. If only Feng Ruching was half as kind as Shuangshuang, would not have divorced her, and she would not end up losing her life in the Beast Mountain. She could still be safe and sound in the Chancellor Manor. However, that would never happen. Feng Ruching will never return. At this time, an earth-shattering voice came from the street. Burning with curiosity, Lu Yuchen and a few people stuck their heads out of their windows. There was a vast variety of spirit beasts walking on the street like a troop. The people on the street retreated to the side and gave way to them out of fear. Spirit beasts, a lot of spirit beasts. Why are there so many spirit beasts in the city? The biggest one looks like Tier 3 spirit beast from the Beast Mountain, the Earth Bear. Lu Yang turned slowly to look at the street, his eyes wide opened. This time, the lady who was riding on the snow wolf turned her head around. Crack! Lu Yang's hand shook violently. The cup in his hands fell to the ground, shattering into pieces and scattering all around them. Feng Ruqing. That's Feng Ruqing. The person in her embrace is the young lady of General Manor, Nayland Dyer. Chapter 123. Feng Rushuang was dumbfounded, for Tan Shuangshuang clenched her fists tightly. Her astonished face contorted in rage. Her vicious eyes were blazing furiously, glaring at the lady on the snow wolf's back. Feng Ruqing, why are you back again? You have gotten so much, and Lu Yuchen is the only thing that I have. Why do you still want to take him away from me? My life would be so much better without you. However, Lu Yuchen was too focused on Feng Ruqing and did not notice Tan Shuangshuang's wicked eyes. Dumbfounded, Lu Yuchen looked in the direction that Feng Ruqing was leaving the street and did not regain his composure for a long while. Feng Ruqing is back with a herd of spirit beasts. Why is the current Feng Ruqing so different from the one who was extremely annoying and good for nothing? Feng Ruqing had changed into someone that Lu Yuchen was no longer familiar with. Lu Yuchen closed his eyes. The scenes where he met Feng Ruqing in the past 2 months flashed through his mind. He suddenly realized that the lady who had always been hounding him back then had completely changed. Yuchen. Tan Shuangshuang regained her composure and looked at Lu Yuchen, who was lost in bewilderment. Her heart felt like it was pricked by a needle, her face was drained of all color. She quickly held on to Lu Yuchen's hands, and tears flowed freely from her beautiful eyes. Regaining his composure, Lu Yuchen regretted his action that had broken Shuangshuang's heart. He had actually watched Feng Ruqing for so long. Shuanger, don't worry, I was just shocked about Feng Ruqing's transformation. Yuchen, of course, I trust you. I am just thrilled to see Feng Ruqing back in the city, safe and sound. It's great that she has changed. I will keep my promise to make you spare her some love. I will no longer behave like a princess like I used to and take every inch of your love. Tan Shuangshuang broke into a smile. In the past, Lu Yuchen would quickly reject Tan Shuangshuang's suggestion as a way to comfort her. This time, Lu Yuchen did not utter a word. Tan Shuangshuang grabbed his hands forcefully, her heart was dripping blood. It was true that Lu Yuchen had grown fond of Feng Ruqing. No way. Tan Shuangshuang would never allow anyone to take Lu Yuchen away from her. Ever since Feng Ruqing had gone missing, General Manor had fallen into chaos. Nayland Jing had led a squad to look for Feng Ruqing in the Beast Mountain. As Master Nayland was aged, he nearly fainted when he heard the news. Hence, Nayland Zhangqian could only stay in General Manor to take care of his father. As the saying goes, misfortunes never come singly. Nayland Dyer had gone missing too. Had it not been for the spirit wine that Nayland Zhangqian had brought to Master Nayland would have undoubtedly blacked out due to panic. Suddenly, a rejoiceful voice rang. Master Nayland. General. Young lady is back. Her Highness has brought young lady home. The voice echoed from the courtyard into the main hall. Hearing this, Master Nayland's body trembled as he got up with much effort. His chest was heaving, and his face was blushing with excitement. Qing'er and Dyer are back safely. Zhengqiang, is it true that they are back? Yes, father, I heard that they are back. Nayland Zhangqian sighed deeply in relief. Let's go and get them. Hurry up. Master Nayland paid no heed to the people behind him and quickly rushed out. Quickening his pace, Master Nalan looked extraordinarily fit and healthy. In a flash, Master Nalan had vanished from Nalan Zankian's sight. Chapter 124. The enmity is as transient as a fleeting cloud. Watching the old general leaving, Nalan Zankian's lips curved into a smile. At this time, all the enmity buried in his heart was like a passing cloud, vanishing without a trace. As Nalan Zhangqian was still worried about Feng Ruqing, he naturally no longer held on to her wrongdoings in the past. So long as Feng Ruqing had truly changed, he would let go of the past and move on. Master Nalan rushed to the courtyard. He had even forgotten about the crutch that he had always carried with him wherever he went. At the courtyard, a wide variety of spirit beasts standing in line that looked like a well-trained troop came into sight. Seeing this, Master Nalan flew into a great panic and stopped moving. He simply did not know what had actually happened. "Grandpa!" A familiar voice called out. Master Nalan raised his head. The snow wolf graciously walked out from the herd of spirit beasts. Feng Ruqing jumped off the snow wolf with Nalan Dyer in her arms as she slowly walked toward Master Nalan. "Grandpa, I'm sorry to have made you worried," Feng Ruqing said gently with a faint smile on her face. As Feng Ruqing wanted to get some spirit beasts to work for her, she thought that it was not a big deal if she could return on the same day. Little did she know that she had actually caused a stir in her family and had made them worried. It was, no doubt, her fault. "It's fine as long as you are back." All the words that Master Nalan wanted to say had turned into tears. He wiped off the tears from the corners of his eyes as he spoke in a trembling voice. Standing not far away from the courtyard, Nalan Zhangqian had initially wanted to rebuke Feng Ruqing. However, seeing that the courtyard was filled with spirit beasts, Nalan Zhangqian was dumbfounded. "Your Highness, you robbed the beast court." Hearing Nalan Zhangqian, Feng Ruqing's face darkened a few shades. Was she such a devil in the eyes of her own uncle? Why would she do that? Howl! The snow wolf was infuriated by Nalan Zankian's remark, as it was all its merit and had nothing to do with the bastards in the beast court. Not only did those bastards in the beast court caught the snow wolf, but they had also taken away its hard-earned merit. Apparently, these bastards are targeting the divine spirit fruit. The snow wolf would never let these bastards off easily. The snow wolf was burning with murderous rage. Little did Nalan Zhangqian know that his words had actually put the beast court into deadly trouble, an irreconcilable enmity. "Shut up. My granddaughter is not that kind of person." Master Nalan turned to glare at Nalan Zhangqian. Nalan Zhangqian did not utter a word. Robbing the beast court was extremely normal. It was true that the old princess would definitely do that. "Grandpa knows me best." Feng Ruqing smiled. "Uncle, these are the workers that I have just recruited today. They will work for me." Nalan Zhangqian was rendered speechless. Feng Ruqing wants the spirit beasts to work for her. Does she want to make these spirit beasts her slaves? "I am paying them for their work." Feng Ruqing could read Nalan Zankian's mind. Her face darkened again. "Pay them? Do they know how to spend money?" Stunned, Nalan Zhangqian glanced at the spirit beasts. "Your Highness, did you deceive these spirit beasts to work for you? Please don't do that. For the Nalan family, spirit beasts are of the same rank as human beings. You just can't make them your slaves like what some of the people do out there," Nalan Zhangqian said earnestly. Chapter 125. The enmity is as transient as a fleeting cloud. Hearing Nalan Zankian's advice, not only was Feng Ruqing not infuriated, his words had actually warmed her heart, as Feng Ruqing could not find a single piece of advice in the memory of the previous princess for years. Nalan Zhangqian had always been guiding and advising the princess every time she made a mistake during her childhood. However, the princess was too young to understand the reason behind it back then. Ever since she got close to the noble consort Rong, the princess had gotten more and more annoyed with Nailan Zhangqian. Moreover, Nailan Zhangqian did not have much time to guide her. As the emperor was too busy with the kingdom's affairs, noble consort Rong had gradually led her astray. There was once when Nailan Zhangqian had advised the princess again, she had retorted. Since then, Nailan Zhangqian had never chastised her again. Now that Nailan Zhangqian had given her a few words of advice, apparently, he was no longer holding a grudge against her. What are you laughing at? Seeing Feng Ruqing laughed, Nailan Zhangqian frowned as he asked. Uncle, my father has always been busy, and my mother passed away when I was little. I am so fortunate to have you who have always been guiding me. However, I was too ignorant and have upset you in the past. That was not all, I have even trusted noble consort Rong so much so that I have broken your heart. I will never do that again in the future. Feng Ruqing smiled as she shook her head. Slightly startled, Nailan Zhangqian's body stiffened. As Nailan Zhangqian only had a son, he had treated Feng Ruqing as his own daughter. When Feng Ruqing was little, she was extremely adorable and sensible. However, things had completely changed ever since she had met noble consort Rong. It is my fault. If only I could spend more time with you and keep you company when you left the palace back then, you would not have gotten closer to noble consort Rong, and things would have been entirely different. Nailan Zhangqian smiled wryly. Uncle, do you truly think that if you have stopped me from leaving the palace alone, Feng Ruqing would not hurt herself to save me, and I would not have felt gratitude toward noble consort Rong? You are wrong. Feng Ruqing would still get hurt because of me. Feng Ruqing burst out in laughter. Feng Ruqing had said it forthrightly. Apparently, people around her could quickly understand her words. Qing'er, you are saying that the person who wanted to hurt you when you left the palace back then took orders from noble consort Rong? Master Nailan looked hard at Feng Ruqing as he held her hands tightly. If I don't know Feng Ruqing well, perhaps I would have truly thought that she would give up her own life to save mine. However, I know her so well and I know that she is such a selfish lady. Naturally, she would not do so. Hence, I suspect that this is noble consort Rong's conspiracy. Feng Ruqing lowered her eyes. However, even the emperor was not capable of getting the culprit. Noble consort Rong was really something, and someone must be backing her. Lu Rong. Nailan Zhangqian's hands balled into fists, his eyes were filled with murderous intent. If Lu Rong was truly the master behind it, she had nearly destroyed Feng Ruqing's life. Nailan Zhangqian would not let her off the hook so easily. He must take Lu Rong's life no matter who had her back. Uncle, let's not talk about this. Where is Aunt? Feng Ruqing's gaze scanned her surroundings as she asked. As Feng Ruqing's aunt loved Nailan Dyer so much, she must have lost her mind, knowing that Nailan Dyer had left General Manor. Since Nailan Dyer was back, she must be the first person to come out. However, Feng Ruqing's aunt was nowhere to be found. Chapter 126, The Young Lady of the Qin Family. I slightly startled, Nailan Zhangqian sighed. The young lady of the Qin family is sick. Your aunt went to the Qin family this morning and has not returned yet. She told us not to disturb her. Perhaps she does not know about this. Feng Ruqing sank into silence. Feng Ruqing's aunt Qin Yu was the eldest daughter in the Qin family. The young lady of the Qin family was her sister-in-law. The young lady had always been weak and infertile. Even so, the Qin family had never given up on the young lady, and the young master, Qin Lin, had never thought of getting another wife. Uncle, I have gone out for the whole day. My father must be worried about me. I need to go to the palace. I will pay the young lady of the Qin family a visit later. You want to visit the Qin family? Nalan Zhangqian was worried and his brows knitted together. Uncle, are you worried that I would mock the young lady that she is a hen that is not capable of laying eggs? Feng Ruqing broke into laughter. As the young lady of the Qin family was weak, she rarely walked out of the manor. However, as part of the Qin family, she had always bumped into the princess. The princess had always mocked her, and she had even passed out from rage. That's not what I meant. I am just worried that the young lady of the Qin family is afraid of you and her health would be affected if she sees you, Nalan Zhangqian could not help but answer. Feng Ruqing's face darkened. The old princess had caused too much trouble. She must iron them out one by one. Uncle, they will not throw me out the manor if Dyer is going with me. Everything would be just fine. Feng Ruqing smiled as she stroked Dyer's head. Things would become much better if Feng Ruqing could meet the young lady of the Qin family. The news that Feng Ruqing had returned to the city had made a great stir in the palace. Some of them felt relieved, while most of them were disappointed. Noble consort Rong was extremely resentful and had nearly broken all the ceramic decorations in her manor. She hated that Feng Ruqing was still alive and that she was not as obedient as she used to be. It was natural that noble consort Rong hated Feng Ruqing. She had put in so much effort to rise to her current position. Ever since Feng Ruqing had woken up, all her efforts had gone down the drain. Feng Ruqing. I will get everything that Nalan Yen owes me from you. Lu Rong's eyes darkened, a faint semblance of enmity flickered in her eyes. Her face turned extremely ferocious and horrifying. 20 years ago, many well-off and privileged young masters and ladies had gathered at Luoyuan Kingdom. The Crown Prince Feng Tianyu was amongst them. As Feng Tianyu was extremely talented and stunningly handsome, he had stood out from the crowd. Lu Rong had fallen in love with him at first sight. However, Feng Tianyu had given his heart to the eldest daughter of the general's family, Nalan Yen. A young master with remarkable talent and an exquisitely gorgeous young lady were no doubt a match made in heaven. On the contrary, Lu Rong was no match for her and was left to wither. Lu Rong hated the fact that she had actually fallen in love with Feng Tianyu first, but he had gone and given his heart to Nalan Yen. Hence, Lu Rong's father had worked together with many officials of the kingdom and forced the emperor to take Lu Rong as his concubine during the empress installation ceremony. As many of the officials had their own conspiracies and wanted to make their own daughter as one of the emperor's concubines, they had quickly agreed with Lu Rong's father. At that time, Feng Tianyu was still very young when the late emperor passed away. Hence, he did not have a strong foundation and naturally, was not capable of going against them. Chapter 127, The Young Lady of the Qin Family. Since then, Lu Rong's had realized her dream and rose to the status of a noble lady. However, the emperor had pronounced before all his concubines that Nalan Yen was his only. The rest of the concubines were nothing more than an empty shell, a political marriage to please the imperial officials. Lu Rong closed her eyes slowly, a giddily affectionate heaven-made couple flashed through her mind. There were many times that she wanted to rush out to shake the heartbroken scene off of her mind. Nalan Yen. Lu Rong clutched her chest as she gritted her teeth. Since you have died, why are you still taking His Majesty's heart away? Why are you still the Empress of Luoyuan Kingdom? Noble consort Rong. At this time, a lady in servant's attire walked into the manor. When she saw that the manor was a mess, her face darkened a few shades. Are you insane? You are in the palace. The emperor has eyes everywhere. You are digging your own grave by doing this. Disregarding every aspect of etiquette, the servant talked to Lu Rong as if Lu Rong was her servant. I'm sorry. I did not manage to control my emotion. Lu Rong did not lose her temper. She got up slowly with a pale face. Please behave yourself. If someone finds out, the master will not hesitate to sacrifice you and get another concubine for the emperor. The servant's eyes narrowed, a hint of viciousness flashed in her eyes. No, he won't do that. Even if I truly made a mistake, he will not kill me. After all, schwanger, Lu Rong's face was ghastly pale as she bit her lip hard. Shut up. Watch your mouth. If you ruin the master's plan, I will kill you on his behalf. The servant shouted coldly. You should know what the master truly wants. You are nothing to him. The servant walked slowly toward Lu Ring and lowered her tone as she sneered. The servant's words sent a chill down Lu Rong's spine. Her body stiffened all of a sudden. She knew that she was truly reckless this time. As her master was extremely ruthless, he had lost his mind when Lu Rong was not capable of handling Feng Ruching previously. Hence, she must not make another mistake again. Otherwise, he would definitely kill Lu Rong to accomplish his goal. I know what I should do. Lu Rong took a deep breath with a determined look. The Lu family and Feng Ruching's fate are all in your hands. As long as you are loyal to the master, not only will the whole world be within the Lu family's grasp, the master would fulfill Feng Rushwang's dream, marrying the state preceptor, the servant said, with a smile on her face. Hearing this, Lu Rong's eyes sparkled. As she could not get the person she loved the most, she would not allow Feng Rushwang to follow her path. She would make the state preceptor marry Feng Rushwang at all costs. All right. What does the master want me to do? Lu Rong regained her composure as she asked. He has chosen a husband for Feng Ruching, and she must marry him by hook or by crook. The servant lowered her eyes, her voice was so sinister that Lu Rong's heart turned cold. After leaving General Manor, Feng Ruching went directly to the palace. Seeing that Feng Ruching had returned to the palace safe and sound, Feng Tianyu sighed in relief. As Feng Tianyu was busy with the political affairs, Feng Ruching simply reminded him to drink the spirit wine before she left the imperial study. Chapter 128, The Young Lady of the Qin Family 3. This little girl even reminded me to drink the wine. Well, get me the wine that the princess gave me the last time. Watching Feng Ruching leaving, Feng Tianyu couldn't help but smile. The wine was the first present that Feng Ruching had given him. Naturally, he could not bear to drink it. Now that Feng Ruching had reminded him, he must take a sip. Not long after, a eunuch walked into the imperial study with a cup of wine placed on the tray in his hands. Feng Tianyu brought the jade cup to his lips. Before he took a sip of the wine, the fragrance of the wine streamed from the cup and into his nostrils. It was so intoxicating that Feng Tianyu was slightly jolted. This wine, the wine was no ordinary wine and was rich in spiritual qi. Eunuch Ling, this is the wine that the princess gave me. Yes, your majesty. The eunuch waved the horsetail whisk as he answered respectfully. Feng Tianyu gulped down a mouthful of wine with an imposing expression on his face. As the wine streamed down his throat, a sudden warmth engulfed his body. Feng Tianyu could not help but groan softly. Spirit wine could soothe aches and pains as well as strengthen the body. However, it was not capable of treating all the diseases. Even so, Feng Tianyu felt so much better than before. Ha! This is such good wine. Get me another cup of this wine. Ever since Empress Nailan had passed away, Feng Tianyu had suffered from overwhelming distress, both physically and mentally. He had never felt this good for a long while. This wine was truly amazing. Your Majesty, since you love this wine so much, why don't this servant buy all of this wine for you? Ling asked joyfully. It was truly rare that Feng Tianyu would love wine so much. Eunuch, how could you buy such good wine with money? Feng Tianyu broke into laughter. Then Her Highness, Eunuch Ling was slightly startled. If the wine could not be bought with money, how could the princess get that? I don't care where Qing'er got this from. Everyone has her own secret. Why should we care about that? Go and invite Master Nalen. I want to drink this wine with him today. Ha! Feng Tianyu let out a boisterous laugh. As the saying goes, shared joy is a double joy. It was such a waste to drink such a great wine alone. At your command. Eunuch Ling retreated. When Eunuch Ling left the imperial study, he could still hear the Feng Tianyu's laughter in the air. He had not been laughing so happily ever since Empress Nalan's death. Eunuch Ling shook his head helplessly and sighed softly. As His Majesty has dealt with great pain for losing the one he loved the most, his health has deteriorated. Has it not been for Her Highness, His Majesty would have taken his own life. At the entrance of Qin Manor, Feng Ruqing stopped walking with Dyer in tow. Standing at the door, Dyer's tiny hand clung onto Feng Ruqing's arm. The two guards flew into a great panic when they saw Feng Ruqing and could hardly say a word. Your Highness. I heard that my aunt is at Qin Manor. I am here to take my aunt home. Could you please inform her? All right, the guard quickly answered and rushed into the courtyard. The chamber was peacefully silent with white yarn dancing in the wind. Qin Yi was sitting next to a bed with intricate wood carvings. Her hand held gently onto the young lad's hand as she said softly, Pinyao, don't overthink. Your health is more important. Lying in bed, the young lady looked extremely sorrowful as color drained from her face. Chapter 129, The Young Lady of the Qin Family. 4, Sister, as you know, my body is frail, and I am unable to give a child to the Qin family. If he can take in one concubine, perhaps the Qin family will have an heir. However, Qin Sun had clarified this matter a long time ago. He would rather adopt an orphan instead of getting a concubine. His confession really made her feel touched but guilty at the same time. Pinyao, you should not keep saying such words. Our family does not practice polygamy. Moreover, Sun'er has always been loyal to you. Your action will only hurt him instead of helping him in this situation. Qin Yi frowned and quickly took Wei Pinyo's seemingly boneless hand and held it tight. She consoled her gently, besides, you are unable to conceive due to your weak body. Once you fully recover, what will happen to those concubines? They will become an eyesore, wouldn't they? Wei Pinyao shook her head sadly. Tears were flowing down her cheeks. She said, I have been suffering from this illness since birth. Nobody has found the cure after so many years, let alone at the present moment. That year, her father's concubine poisoned her mother for the sake of getting her father's affection. Although her mother was safe in the end, unfortunately, she who was still in her mother's womb at that moment had suffered from the side effect since. She had always been in poor health after she was born. Qin Sun was worried that history might repeat itself. The same incident might happen to his beloved wife, so he was determined not to have any concubines even though she could not conceive. The more you overthink about it, the weaker your body will become. In fact, Sun'er has already made it clear that he is willing to adopt a child when the need arises. If worse comes to worst, your brother-in-law and I can have another child and we will name him with Qin's surname. The issue is solved, isn't it? Why must you suffocate yourself with this matter? If Qin Sun really had a concubine like what his wife wished for, the person who would suffer the most at the end was Wei Pinyao herself. How could she bear with another woman sleeping beside her husband? Sister, Wei Pinyao could not stop her tears from flowing, thank you. Really thank all of you. In normal circumstances, the husband would normally get a concubine if his wife could not give birth to any children. Fortunately, she married into the Qin family. Without the support of other Qin family members, her husband, might not have persisted with his own decision. On the contrary, if this happened to other families, there would have been many concubines in the household. However, the guilt in her heart grew bigger because the Qin family had been treating her so well. She hated herself for her inability to produce an heir for the Qin family. Lady Nalan. Suddenly, someone called urgently from outside. Qin Yi turned and looked at the door to find a guard rushing in urgently. He half-kneeled on the floor and reported, "Lady Nalan, Princess Royal is waiting outside. She is requesting to see you now." "Her Royal Highness. What is she doing here?" Qin Yi looked at Wei Pinyao worriedly. She had already promised both of her father-in-law and husband that she would no longer treat the princess with animosity anymore. However, the princess had done too many things in the past, so it was difficult for her to have a good impression of the princess since then. Wei Pinyo's face turned pale when she recalled the insulting words that Feng Ruqing threw at her previously. The fact that she could not bear any children was already a sore spot which constantly haunted her, but the princess kept reminding her of it and mocked her non-stop. She was tired by her persistent mockery, physically and mentally. Since then, she had never entered the palace anymore and even avoided Feng Ruqing outside of the palace. However, why did she turn up at the Qin residence now? "Mistress," the guard looked at Qin Yi cautiously and solemnly before continuing, "not only the princess is here, young Lady Dyer is outside as well." As expected, Qin Yi quickly stood up hurriedly once she heard what the guard had said. Her face showed she was agitated and distressed. No matter how many times Nalan Zhangqian had reassured her that Feng Ruqiang would not hurt Dyer anymore, she could not believe her words anymore. Dyer was her precious treasure, her life. Chapter 130. The young lady of the Qin family she would never allow anyone to hurt Dyer. Pinyao, thinking of Wei Pinyao who was still immersed in her melancholy, Qin Yi turned to look at her doubtfully. Wei Pinyao assured her with a smile. "Sister, hurry up. Do not let the princess and Dyer wait for you for too long. One more thing, she is Princess Royal after all. You'd better stay calm and be mindful of your expressions." "I know," Qin Yi replied with a bitter smile. She would not dare to show her dislike openly. How bold would she be? She only had a fear of the princess. Looking at Wei Pinyao who seemed better made her feel relieved, Qin Yi slowly turned around and walked outside. Just when she left the courtyard, the first thing that came into Qin Yi's vision was Nalan Dyer who laughing heartily in Feng Ruqing's arms. She could finally breathe a sigh of relief as her palpitating heart steadied. Perhaps it was like what her husband had claimed, the princess had really turned a new leaf. However, she could not care less about it. Whenever she thought of the prince's past doings, there was a burden she could not let go in her heart. "Your Royal Highness." Qin Yi walked to Feng Ruqing's side. Just as she was about to greet her with a bow, Feng Ruqing had already put down Dyer and tugged Qin Yi's arm to stop her. "Aunt, you're my elder, how could I let you bow to me? His Majesty would blame me if he saw this." Qin Yi replied with a faint smile, "Princess is a monarch while I am a subordinate. There should be some courtesy and civility." Feng Ruqing sighed. It seemed not easy to make this aunt accept her again. "Aunt, I still remembered during my 5th birthday, you had purposely stolen old Master Qin's precious weapon and given it to me as my birthday gift. And you were scolded badly by him due to this incident. Not only that, there was one time when I fell down and injured myself when I had climbed the wall with cousin, you hit him so hard that he could not come down from his bed for 2 days. It was only for one reason, you blamed him because he did not lie down in time to cushion me from falling. In my opinion, there's no difference between aunt and mother. I must be blamed for my past ignorant and immature attitude for hurting my beloved aunt's feelings." The maiden's eyes showed full sincerity and seemed genuine. Qi glanced at Feng Ruqing with indifference. Her expression remained apathetic. It's true that I have stolen my father's weapon, but you nearly injured Dyer using the weapon. If I knew this would happen, I would not have stolen my father's weapon for you. Feng Ruqing's facial expression went stiff instantly. She quickly searched it in her memory. It indeed had happened like how she described it. If her uncle did not rush over in time, she could have injured Dyer. The precious and priceless sword which old Master Qin had spent a fortune on was finally destroyed by the furious uncle. The whole incident happened due to a groundless rumor started by Feng Ruquang. Old Feng Ruqing had always sided with her, so she naturally acted on behalf of her interest. Actually, Feng Ruqing could not figure out the reason behind Feng Ruquang's animosity toward Dyer. She was only a child. This, Feng Ruqing could only laugh awkwardly. Aunt, Princess, it is getting late. Let's go back now. Qi did not intend to continue the conversation. Feng Ruqing had done many wrongdoings, to the point where she simply could not forgive her. Wait. Feng Ruqing quickly took a few steps forward to stop Qi from leaving. She walked into the courtyard and smiled gently. I have two objectives today. Firstly, I am here to escort you home. Secondly, I wish to visit the young mistress of the Qin family. I have even prepared some food for her. Qi had already noticed the meal box in Feng Ruqing's hand since the very beginning. However, she did not give much thought about it. Now, she started freaking out after Feng Ruqing pointed it out. Chapter 131, The Young Lady of the Qin Family 6, Pinyo's body is too weak. Consuming tonic might not be effective for her. Qi did not dare to let Wei Pinyao consume Feng Ruqing's food. What if she poisoned the food again? However, Pinyao was not like Zhang Qian, he could bear it until it went away. Her body was too weak, and the suffering was definitely too much for her. Suddenly, a gentle voice could be heard from nearby. Her Royal Highness is here. Sister Qin, why didn't you invite her inside for tea? Qin's expression turned dark instantly. Her face showed a little anger. Feng Ruqing raised her eyebrows and diverted her attention to this woman who was walking slowly from the inner part of the courtyard. This woman was around 30 years old but was still dressed like a young maiden. She had a round hand fan in her hand, dressed up to the nines with heavy makeup. She smiled like a blooming flower, garish and beautiful, but it did not last long. Feng Ruqing recognized the woman immediately. This was the Wei family's second young lady, Wei Mingjie, also Wei Pinyo's stepsister who shared the same father but different mothers. This Wei Mengjie's obvious affection and interest in Qin Sun was no secret to everyone. She had not agreed to any marriage arrangement because she wanted to get her Wei to become his concubine. Wei Mingjie, I thought you came here to visit Pinyao. However, you keep throwing yourself at Qin Sun. What are you actually trying to do? Qin glared at her coldly and chided her without mercy. As a woman, it was natural for her to have a bad impression of Wei Mingjie and loathed her behavior. She had a thick face and kept using visiting Pinyao as an excuse for her to enter the Qin residence. If the Qin family chased her out forcefully, perhaps she might spread rumors about Pinyao. For the sake of Pinyo's reputation, and Mingjie indeed did not do anything overboard, she closed one eye on her behavior. My sister's health is poor, so I cannot keep disturbing her rest. I can only help her take care of brother-in-law, in case nobody takes care of him. Pity him. This is totally presumptuous. Qin was fuming with rage. Are you implying there's nobody else in the Qin residence? No matter what the situation is, there's no need for an outsider to take care of my brother. She had purposely stressed on the word outsider, which annoyed Wei Mingjie. She seemed unsatisfied, which was shown in her frown. Why was she treated as an outsider, but Wei Pinyao could be their own people? She was just a hen which was unable to lay eggs. How could she have the nerve to occupy the position of the young lady of the Qin family? Didn't she feel ashamed of herself? Sister Qin Yi, Wei Mingjie eyed the meal box Feng Ruqing brought and smiled knowingly. Her Royal Highness has dropped by to visit my sister. It is not nice of you to stop her. Moreover, she has even brought some food for her. Could it be possible that you are afraid she might poison my sister? Feng Ruqing shrugged helplessly. She solely intended to pay Wei Pinyao a short visit. Why was she in trouble again? Wei Mingjie, are you aware of your words right now? Qin Yi's eyes turned cold and serious. She took 2 steps forward and rebuked. Firstly, the princess is considered a relative of Pinyao's, so it's normal for her to pay Pinyao a visit. However, you claiming that Her Royal Highness has poisoned the food will definitely tarnish her reputation. What are the consequences of making false charges against Princess Royal? Wei Mingjie was caught dumbfounded. Didn't Qin Yi dislike Feng Ruqing very much? How could she be angry about the princess' reputation sake? In addition, her words were intended to serve as a reminder for Qin Yi. If she managed to annoy Qin Yi and cause her to fight with the princess, it would be the best. However, she never thought that she would be dragged into this planned dispute. Your Royal Highness, I did not mean that. Wei Mingjie quickly turned to Feng Ruqing and defended herself anxiously. Feng Ruqing nodded calmly. Yes, I know that is your intention. It's good that your highness knows. Wei Mingjie could not finish her words as she was startled. Why did she feel that something was wrong with the prince's words? Chapter 132, Let Her Be the Villain. Feng Ruqing ignored Wei Mingjie and turned to look at Qin Yi with a smile on her face. Who is this woman? Qin Yi pursed her lips disapprovingly. When Qin Yi wanted to respond to the question, Wei Mingjie, who was standing at the side, had recovered from her surprise and responded just before she could say anything. Wei Mingjie gave a mocking smile and introduced herself. Your Royal Highness, I am the daughter of the Wei family, Wei Pinyao's sister. You are Wei Pinyao's sister. How come I never knew Aunt Yao has a sister? Feng Ruqing looked surprised and was in disbelief. Wei Mingjie was startled and a little embarrassed. She uttered awkwardly, I am the daughter of the Wei family's second mistress. Oh, I see. You're only the daughter of a concubine. How dare you call yourself Aunt Yao's sister? Feng Ruqing's lips curved into a mocking smile. She added, as a child of a concubine, you are bold enough to enter the Qin residence with such arrogance. And, why did you let such people enter the Qin residence? Qin Yi threw a sharp glance at Wei Mingjie. She is too thick-faced and overstays her welcome. I have no idea at all. Throw her out, then your problem is solved. Feng Ruqing moved 2 steps nearer and looked down at Wei Mingjie with an arrogant and threatening stare. Or else, let her leave this place on her own. Wei Mingjie felt her mouth twitching. She quickly turned to Qin Yi and protested. Sister Qin Yi, I am still considered as the Wei family's second young lady whether you like it or not. If you insist on doing what she has said, it will tarnish my sister's reputation. Imagine how other people will condemn her. By comparison, Wei Pinyao's reputation in Luyun Kingdom was not any better. A woman who could not conceive and yet did not allow her husband to take another concubine was no different from a shrew woman. If she were in her shoes, she would never monopolize Qin Sun and keep him for herself. In fact, she would get many concubines for his sake. Without any warning, Feng Ruqing stepped forward and lifted Wei Mingjie's lapel up with one hand. Then a loud sound could be heard as she was thrown out of the door. At this moment, everyone was in complete shock. They stared at the young lady standing at the entrance with bulging eyes and disbelief. Nobody seemed to be able to recover from their daze as her action was totally unexpected. Wei Mingjie got up in an awkward and embarrassing state. She did not dare to lash out because the culprit was Feng Ruqing. Since she did not have the nerve to go against her, she could only stare at Qin Yi with annoyance. This Qin Yi was already a married woman, but she still wanted to interfere in her parental home's issues. Didn't she feel suffocated with such a minuscule matter? She wondered whether Qin Sun was her biological brother. How could she object her own brother to take a concubine? Previously, Mengjie's father was forced by her grandmother to get a concubine, especially after Pinyo's mother could not bear children anymore after giving birth to Pinyo. Grandmother kept shoving different women to her father. If her grandmother hadn't done so, she would not have been present here today. However, this Qin family did not follow the norm. From old lady Qin to Qin Yi, who was married off to another family, both of them supported the Qin Sun couple. Wei Pinyao was the only woman in the Qin household. And there's no need to treat such shameless people nicely. Feng Ruqing laughed and stepped forward. Throwing her out will do. If you do not have the heart to do so, let me do it. My reputation is already bad enough, this little incident will not affect me at all. Your Royal Highness, although you have authority over us, you cannot stop me from visiting my own sister. Wei Mingjie pleaded with a pathetic and sad look while biting her lip. Her eyes showed that she felt aggrieved by this whole incident. Feng Ruqing did not buy her act. She raised one of her brows menacingly and threatened Wei Mingjie, this is the Qin residence. You can see your sister when she returns to the Wei residence. From now on, you are forbidden to enter the Qin residence. If you dare to go against my instruction, I will command someone to break your legs. If the Qin family could not be the villain, let her take the role. Princess, you are abusing your power to oppress people. Wei Mengjie's face turned red. Chapter 133. Let her be the villain too. She had heard of Feng Ruqing's infamous personality and ill manner, but she had never gotten involved with her before. If she had been bullied by Feng Ruqing before, she definitely would not have dared to talk back in such manner. Abusing my power to oppress people? Feng Ruqing chuckled. She raised her chin slightly. So what if it is true? I like to bully people, like you. Abusing power and oppressing people, so what? She loved to bully this kind of people. Qin Yi was stunned upon hearing that. She immediately turned her head to look at Feng Ruqing. Her gaze was full of complicated and indescribable feelings. She usually abhorred Feng Ruqing's power abuse and bullying. However, this time, her arrogance and haughtiness made her feel happy. If you refuse to leave, I will command someone to hit you to death and send your body to the Wei residence. Feng Ruqing diverted her piercing gaze to look at Wei Mingjie and threatened her. She seemed to be looking at a dead body right now. Wei Mingjie was frightened by this deadly gaze. It made her shiver in horror, so she dared not to stay at the Qin residence any longer. She glanced at the Qin residence's courtyard for the last time and left with red puffy eyes. Once the silhouette disappeared, Feng Ruqing diverted her eyes back to Qin Yi and smiled sweetly. And she has already left. Can we visit Aunt Yao now? Qin Yi was left in a daze. She felt puzzled as her emotions were getting more complicated. You will only tarnish your reputation by acting this way. Feng Ruqing laughed it off. I have already mentioned it earlier, haven't I? My reputation is already bad enough. This is just a small incident. Moreover, the truth will speak for itself, and I do not care about other people misunderstanding me. I only need you to understand me. That's all. She really did not care about how the rest of the world would misunderstand her. From the beginning, she only cared about these people who were important to her. Qin Yi's heart sank. She balled her fists tightly and kept reminding herself about Feng Ruking's past misdeeds and incivility. She must not fall into her trap. She must not be soft-hearted again. Let's go. Finally, she gave up. She turned to glance at Feng Ruqing and then walked in the direction of the Qin residence's courtyard. Feng Ruqing was on cloud 9 when Qin Yi did not block her outside. She hugged Dyer and gave her a big kiss on the cheek happily. Dyer, is your mother finally willing to give me a chance now? Dyer seemed confused and looked at Feng Ruqing in a daze. Do not worry, Dyer. I won't let you and your family down again. They had been disappointed for too many times, and this was the last chance for her. Dyer showed her sweetest smile and agreed with Feng Ruqing. You are beautiful. Whatever you say, are all correct. Was Dyer trying to compliment her or condemn her? You are more beautiful than second princess. Dyer's was serious and genuine when she said this. Feng Ruqing lowered her gaze to look at Nayland Dyer. Why is that so? Second princess is bad. She bullies Dyer. Furthermore, father and grandpa had always said that she was the one who influenced her beloved cousin, Feng Ruqing, negatively. Thus, she was the most wicked villain in the world. This time, Feng Ruqing was left speechless. Perhaps it was only her illusion. She felt that Dyer's intellect and wisdom had somewhat improved. A few months ago, Dyer was still unable to tell people about Feng Ruqing bullying her. However, she could express her feeling now. Was it because of the spirit herbs? Suddenly, a realization hit Feng Ruqing. Excessive spiritual qi had managed to awaken the beast's spiritual intelligence. In fact, the spiritual qi contained in spirit herbs was much stronger, so it could help Dyer in this matter. Feng Ruqing made a mental note to herself that she must prepare some spirit divine fruit for Dyer later. Until she was recovered and became a normal person. You are right. Those people who bully Dyer are villains. Feng Ruqing pinched Dyer's cute and chubby face. Last time, I used to be a villain too. Chapter 134, Let Her Be the Villain 3. Dyer shook her head reluctantly. Cousin isn't a villain. I've seen you save a kitten. Therefore, no matter how much she was hurt in the past, she still wanted to get close to her. Clearly her cousin treated the kitten with so much kindness, then why did she treat her so cruelly? Until she was so afraid and decided to hide away from her. Feng Ruqing looked frail and her fingers were stiff. Although the previous owner of the body liked to bully people, she had a deep love for small animals. Somehow, the kitten that she had saved scratched Feng Ruqing. As a result, the kitten was killed by concubine Rong. From her point of view, there was nothing more important than Feng Ruqing. Although she would be sad for a while, she still trusted them. Honestly, the most wicked person is Feng Ruqing. Feng Ruqing's eyes turned icy, which quickly dissipated. She grabbed hold of Dyer's hand and said, I will make Feng Ruqing pay for this. For all the people and animals which she has hurt. Feng Ruqing was not sure whether the kitten had scratched Feng Ruqing, because when she was back at the palace, the kitten was already dead. As for the scratch marks, she had yet to see. Now it seemed that Feng Ruqing was happy with the people or animals around Feng Ruqing, and because of this, she decided to kill the kitten. Go now. Your mother has already gone far and my meal is getting cold. Dyer blinked. With her eyes fixed on Feng Ruqing's meal box, she swallowed her saliva and replied, all right. At the residence area, Wei Pinyao heard the sound of the door being pushed open. She opened her heavy eyes and looked out of the house. She wanted to sit up, but her body felt weak. After struggling momentarily, she was still unable to get up. Pinyao. Qin Yi's facial expression changed as she quickly walked toward Pinyao's side. Her eyes were filled with concern. You're not feeling well, just lie down. Cough. Wei Pinyao coughed twice, her cheeks were pale. Sister, has the princess gone back? Qin Yi was stunned. She did not know why, but she allowed Feng Ruqing to visit Pinyao. She licked her lips as she replied, the princess wants to visit you. Wei Pinyao gently smiled and said, I guess sister, you didn't agree to her proposition but accepted it unwillingly. Actually, I'm not that weak, some words can't hurt me, you all are just too protective over me. Those words were not just the words of the princess. Even the people of Lu Yun Kingdom had personally gossiped about her like this. Even so, what about it? She will never leave Qin Sun's side. Never will. Pinyao, Qin Yi sighed, she promised to let her in, just like what her husband has said, she's giving her a chance. Her words have yet to leave her mouth, the sound of heavy footsteps rang loudly at the door. Qin Yi raised her head to look back and saw Feng Ruqing holding Dair's hands walking through the front door. The young girl's smile was gleaming, maybe it's the obvious plump body of hers, nevertheless the two of them looked amazing together, impressive. Aunt Yao, I heard that you're sick. I've purposely prepared some healthy supplementary food for you. Feng Ruqing smiled while walking towards the bed. Aunt, you should ask the maid to prepare some bowls and chopsticks for you. Qin Yi looked at the sky. It seems to be getting late now, but letting Pinyao dine on the meal that Feng Ruqing prepared would be quite risky. The meal has been prepared by the kitchen, there's no need for the princess to be so worked up about it. Qin Yi furrowed her brows and refused Feng Ruqing's good intentions. Chapter 135, Let Her Be the Villain 4, The meal that I've prepared is different from those prepared by the kitchen, Aunt, don't you trust me? Unless you're afraid that I've poisoned the food, you can always look for someone to test it first. Even if the medicinal herbs were added into the herbal dish, it was actually good for health. Plus, this time round, she's only created some qi-replenishing herbal dish, so it should not do any harm to the person taking it. Just when Qin Yi was still hesitant, Dyer brought out some tableware, opened the meal box and took out a piece of dark-boned chicken meat and placed it into a bowl. Dyer. Qin Yi was pale from shock, she wanted to stop her but it was a little too late. Dyer had already bitten into the chicken's flesh and was gobbling it down the delicious food. Mother, why don't you and Aunt join me? It's delicious. Feng Ruqing's facial expression turned dark. Dyer, where did you get the tableware from? Dyer blinked as she replied, when cousin was boiling the soup. I kind of stole it, was afraid that all of you wouldn't let Dyer eat. Her cousin had said from the beginning that this meal was specially prepared for her aunt, so what if they did not allow her to eat? Hence, she stole some tableware. If they decided to not give her a portion of the food, she would take it on her own. Don't you know that this is very impolite? Feng Ruqing gently brushed Dyer's head. Dyer thought for a moment and said, but Mother is not eating, so Dyer shall eat it to show her how delicious it is. Feng Ruqing thought for a while only to realize that Dyer was just afraid that her mother and Aunt Yao were not willing to eat the prepared meal. Hence, she ate it first to show them that it was safe. Dyer. Qin Yi had her eyes locked on her. Are you alright? Dyer's little chubby and rosy face glowed adorably. It's delicious. Mother, let's eat. Looking at Dyer safely consuming the meal, Qin Yi heaved a sigh of relief. Her eyes were apologetic as she looked at Feng Ruqing. My apologies, Princess. I've misunderstood your intentions. Feng Ruqing smiled. Aunt being nervous and cautious is just. I used to do a lot of bad things in the past and it's understandable that you don't trust me entirely. Plus, you are worried about Aunt Yao's health. I understand. Wei Pinyao struggled to sit up from her bed that was situated atop the beautifully carved bed frame. She seemed unconvinced and astonished that Feng Ruqing would say such things. She was skeptical about Feng Ruqing's intentions. Sister, Wei Pinyao looked up and saw Qin Yi. Her face looked like she was still trying to understand the current situation. Qin Yi smiled while trying to comfort Wei Pinyao. Since this meal will not give you diarrhea, then you can eat with ease. Don't let her efforts go to waste. Regardless of whether was she willing to forgive Feng Ruqing, the most important thing now was to stay alive. So she would most certainly choose to accept her kindness. But there were just too many thorns in her heart. To pluck them all out would be too difficult a task. Too difficult. Maid, bring the tableware for the lady. Yes. The maid quickly went to retrieve the tableware. Shortly after, the maid returned with the requested items. She then proceeded to fill the bowl to the brim with soup and brought it to Pinyo's bedside. Cough. Wei Pinyao coughed again. Her face was pale and her body was frail. It looked like she would collapse from a gentle breeze. Frail-looking Wei Pinyao still looked more beautiful than Wei Mingjie, who wore heavy makeup. It was no wonder Qin Sun was so deeply in love with her. In order to prevent her from suffering, he was willing to not have a child. Chapter 136, Taking Herbs. The chicken soup was refreshing and fragrant. It has a tinge of herbal scent which relieved Wei Pinyo's cough. She no longer coughed as frequently as before. This soup, Wei Pinyao took another spoonful of soup which was fed by her maid. She tasted a trace of strange flavor within the soup. She looked up in surprise and her eyes were filled with confusion. What kind of herbs did you add? Qin Yi was taken aback. Herbs could not be simply taken. Even more shocking was the fact that she has never heard of rejuvenating meals being laced with herbs. That's why she felt anxious and worried after listening to Pinyo's words. That's right. Feng Ruqing grinned. In the past, I've heard Uncle talked about Aunt Yao's bad health. There's a medicine that can replenish qi. If one were to constantly use it, it will alter the physique and make it strong. On the contrary, this medicine must not be overly consumed. Once a day shall suffice. These medicinal herbs are harmless to normal people, thus enabling people to consume without side effects. Nevertheless, medicinal herbs were still medicine. It would eventually affect the body even if it were a little. No wonder my body feels rejuvenated from drinking this soup. It's like my weakness has faded away. Wei Pinyo's brows furrowed as her pale face gained its luster. With a gentle smile she said, but this is the first time I'm hearing about medicine-infused food. Feng Ruqing didn't add any spirit herbs into the meal. Therefore she only felt as if her body has gained a slight bit of energy as compared to before. She could finally get up from bed with ease. Although the difference isn't big, to the bedridden Wei Pinyao, this was a silver lining of hope. Pinyao, please allow me to check your pulse. Qin Yi quickly reached out and pressed onto Wei Pinyo's pulse. She did not utter a single word during the whole process. After a while she slowly pushed herself up and spoke with a soft voice. Pinyo's pulse indicates that her condition has stabilized. Princess, I'm so sorry for doubting you. She didn't forget how evil and cunning Feng Ruqing was in the past. That was why when Feng Ruqing suddenly decided to treat them so nicely, it was unavoidable to doubt her intentions. Feng Ruqing understood this and she forced a little smile. Aunt and Aunt Yao, as long as you are able to forgive me for my past actions, I'll be grateful. The rest is irrelevant. Seeing the current Feng Ruqing, Wei Pinyo's heart was delighted. The general and three great families had been on good terms for generations while she and Empress Nalan had been friends for many years. If Feng Ruqing really was willing to change, then it would be good for both the country and the Nalan family. People aren't saints, who can be pure and free of evil. Now that Princess is more understanding, that will suffice. Whatever's in the past shall stay in the past. Sister, you too don't have to constantly hold on to the past. At least for your husband and Empress Nalan, please forgive her for her past mistakes. Qin smiled helplessly and said, You're now the protagonist, can I not be the antagonist then? As long as you stop hurting the Nalan family, that will be more than enough for me. She was able to stop hating her, but she would never be able to get close to her like they once were 10 years ago. Wei Pinyao smiled. Although tough on the outside, her sister was still a softie. She did not say that she would forgive the princess entirely. In order for her to let go of the entire grudge was kind of an impossible task. But she believed that if the princess was willing to change, Qin Yi would one day like her as much as she did in the past. The princess had a good nature, it was just that she was influenced by bad people. Chapter 137, Taking Herbs. 2. Princess, how did you come across this herbal dish? Qin Yi asked as she remembered about the herbal soup which helped her heal at such astonishing speed. Feng Ruqing rubbed the tip of her nose. She was about to pin the contribution onto someone else's back, but since she has already admitted to being the one who came up with this herbal recipe, it was a little difficult to shake it off her back now. And, I found this recipe by accident. I was bored and I decided to experiment with herbal dishes. I accidentally added herbs into the meal and coincidentally, I had a flu that day. So, I decided to try it and it cured me. From that day onward, I researched a little more on the preparation of herbal dishes. Feng Ruqing was silent for a brief moment before continuing, it's just that, in the past, the impact of the finding wasn't that huge of a deal. Therefore I didn't bother informing other people about it. Now that I am almost done with the research, I have nothing to hide from both of you anymore. Qin Yi's brow furrowed and with a harsh tone she spoke, Princess, how could you add herbs into a meal? It was your good luck that nothing happened. What if you were careless? What would have happened to you? This girl dreams big and took a bold move. Without any prior knowledge of herbs, she took a bet. It seems that Qin Yi was indeed lucky. No matter how much she hated Feng Ruqing, she would never want anything bad to happen to her. Luckily Empress Nalan was protecting her from the shadows. And, I know you're worried about me but I am really fine. Look at me, am I not alright? Feng Ruqing smiled joyfully. But from my observations, Aunt seems to be overworked recently. You looked worn out. Maybe one day you'll research on a herbal dish that can rejuvenate your beauty. Qin Yi's face was stiff. Did she just worry about Feng Ruqing? She was just. Most probably it was because of the relationship between then Empress and the Nalan family, that was why she was worried about her. And, Aunt Yao's infertility was caused by fetal poisoning, right? After Feng Ruqing entered the room, she inspected Wei Pinyo's body. Her infertility was caused by the poison she received when she was still in her mother's womb. The accumulated toxicity in the uterus could not be removed, which led to her the inability to conceive a child. Even if she were capable of giving birth, in her current condition, her body could not endure it. It is indeed pregnancy poisoning. This is no secret to the 3 major families and the perpetrator has already been executed. Somehow, Qin Yi had a feeling that the perpetrator was only a pawn. The person behind the poisoning must be someone else. And, you should be glad that Aunt Yao can't get pregnant. Qin Yi was taken aback. With narrowed eyes she asked, What do you mean, Princess? It is a very painful thing that Pinyao can't get pregnant, why should I be grateful for such a curse? Because, Feng Ruqing glanced at Wei Pinyao gently. Judging by the love that Uncle Sun has for Aunt Yao, he will definitely want to conceive a child with her. But the pregnancy can be dangerous to Aunt Yao due to the poison and her current physique. Giving birth would be a bigger problem. Lu Yun Kingdom's medicinal knowledge was too little. One small mistake would be sufficient to take Wei Pinyo's life. That's why it was good that she couldn't conceive. Wei Pinyo smiled and said, even if I have to suffer and endanger my life, I will want to give birth to a child for him. Qin Yi was silent. Feng Ruqing stated the truth. Pinyo would be putting her life at risk if she were to try to conceive a child. It was indeed fortunate that she was infertile. Aunt Yao, you don't have to be disheartened. I'll give you the recipe. Just remember to boil the soup every day according to the recipe. Try to recover your physique first, then we'll think of a way to solve the fetal poisoning issue. Chapter 138, Taking Herbs. 3. Am I really capable of conceiving? Pinyo's eyes were filled with disbelief yet hope. Feng Ruqing held on to Wei Pinyo's hand. Aunt Yao, there's definitely a way. Trust me. If it were not for her lack of ability in sowing stronger spirit herbs, she would have detoxified her poison a long time ago. Even if you were willing to spend a fortune, it was difficult to get hold of spirit herbs. Wei Pinyo trembled. As long as she was able to give birth to a child, she was willing to offer up anything. Pinyo, the princess is right. All you need to do now is to recuperate and get your health back on track. Once you're physically healthy again, conceiving a child will be possible. As long as you're not restored back to full health, Sun won't allow you to conceive a child. Qin Yi sighed. Children were important, but to Sun, nothing was more important than Wei Pinyo. I understand. From tomorrow onward, I will work hard to recuperate. Thank you so much, Princess. If I am able to give birth, I will never forget the grace you've shown me. Wei Pinyo's eyes were red. Being unable to give birth, she had been suffering emotionally for so many years. And, it's getting late now. I should get going. Feng Ruqing stretched a little and smiled. She could already see Qin Yi's attitude toward her had changed drastically. Today's visit had definitely gone well. I'll send you on your way then. Qin Yi groaned as she stood up. All right. Qin Yi's kindness was not something Feng Ruqing would like to refuse. She smiled as she looked at Wei Pinyo. Aunt Yao, I'll come for a visit again. Wei Pinyo smiled and nodded. Until the two figures disappeared from view, she kept her gaze fixated upon them. Sister Nalan, the princess really did change. Finally, there can be peace in the Nalan family. That's great. In the middle of the hall, Qin Feiyang sat on the main seat. On his left, Qin Sun seemed to be uneasy. His eyes glanced about from time to time and they were filled with worry. Qin Feiyang was already an elderly man. How could he not see that Qin Sun was worried about Wei Pinyo? He shook his head as he spoke. Sun, if you can't sit still, then why don't you take your leave first? After speaking those words, he turned to two guests and said, Commander Chao, young Master Chao. My apologies for the commotion. Sitting next to Qin Feiyang was a middle-aged man. The middle-aged man was masculine and sturdy, and at his side was a young and handsome man. If Feng Ruqing was around, she would be able to tell that this man had been through a lot. Young Master Qin and his wife are deeply in love. It is a well-known thing, so it's normal for him to be worried. How could I not understand that? Qin Sun was delighted that he was given the chance to leave. He quickly paid his respects and left. Just as he was about to leave, he saw a person restlessly waiting outside. Although this person did not personally take care of Wei Pinyo, she was still someone Wei Pinyo brought from her family. When he saw her walking around anxiously, Qin Sun could not help but feel a sense of unease. Hong Shui, why aren't you by the lattice side? Why are you here? Hong Shui raised her head, her heart filled with joy and her eyes were filled with worry. She was part of the dowry that was given by Madame Wei to Lady Wei. At first she thought that she would be the lattice personal maid. Instead, she was assigned to the manor, not allowed to stay by the lattice side. Chapter 139, Taking Herbs. For it had been more than 10 years, but she was still unable to get close to young Master Qin. She was adamant, thinking that she could rise up to the ranks and refuse to get married. With Madame Weiss' support of her, Wei Pinyao could not get rid of this thorn in her flesh. And now, her chance had finally come. And now, her chance has arrived. Previously, she saw the princess bringing Dyer to the lattice chambers, and somehow overheard them talking about some meal being laced with herbs. No doubt she did not have the right to enter the room to serve the lady. She overheard the princess and Dyer talking about it when she was passing by. Dyer was not well informed of the whole situation. Naturally, she did not know the meaning of adding herbs into the meal. But of all things to do, she did not inform the young master of the princess' visit. Instead, she only informed him after some time had passed, since the princess had entered the room. She figured that the poison had already taken effect. Judging from the lattice physique, she would not be able to endure this for too long. She came forward happily thinking that she could leave a good impression on her master. Young master, Hong Shua bit her lips as she spoke. Just a moment ago, I saw the princess. She went to the lattice room. What? Qin Sun was pale from fright. That evil wretch went looking for trouble with Yaoer. Heck, why didn't anyone inform him? The princess has arrived. Chao Yang stood up immediately. Although almost as nervous as Qin Sun, he seemed to be filled with excitement. Naturally, Hong Shua did not notice Chao Yang's expression. Her sight was fixated on Qin Sun. Young master, the princess didn't only just come for a visit, she also brought along a meal and wanted to give it to the lady. I even heard that she added some sort of herb into the meal. Young master better hurry or else the lady will die. Sob, Hong Shua's tears flowed down her cheeks. If anything were to happen to the lady, I wouldn't want to live anymore. Qin Sun did not care whether Hong Shua was dead or alive. He rushed towards her and shouted angrily. Why didn't you inform me earlier that the princess went looking for Yaoer? Hong Shua was nervous, her face pale. I thought that the princess wouldn't do anything bad to the lady, but after much consideration, I was too worried for the lady therefore, I decided to inform you, young master. Qin Sun began to worry even more. He was just about to rush out when he heard Chao Yang's loud laugh from behind. Did you just say that the princess added some sort of herb to the healthy dish? That's great. The princess had brought the herbal dish, so the lady of the Qin family could finally be saved. Who knew that right after he had said that, Qin Sun turned around furiously and swung his fist at Chao Yang, sending Chao Yang flying. It'll come after you after I've saved Yaoer. That bastard, he was already panicking and yet he said that the princess did a great thing by adding a herb into the meal. He didn't have the courage to deal with the princess but he could always settle his affairs with Chao Yang. Chao Yang was stunned. Commander Chao got mad. He slammed his fist onto the table and shouted angrily. Young Master Qin, due to my respect toward Master Qin, I have given you a lot of leeway. Instead of appreciating it, you punched Yaoer. I will not tolerate this, we will have to settle this debt before you leave. Qin Sun laughed coldly. The princess is trying to poison my wife. Instead of being worried, he has the guts to laugh at my misery. Shouldn't I punch him? I don't have the time to discuss nonsense with you. I'll be back later to settle on this matter. He was worried about Wei Pinyo's safety, so he did not have time to deal with Chao Yang. Before he could walk out of the hall, Chao Yang's angry voice rang aloud. Qin Sun, how dare you hit me? I've never been hit, not even by my dad, and here you are, punching me. You aren't leaving unless we clear this up. Was he wrong? He was just feeling happy that Lady Qin could finally be saved. Instead, this bastard punched him. Kindness does not always beget kindness. Chapter 140, I will never marry another woman. Chao Yang, you're a commander's son. If it weren't for my respect for General Nalan, do you think that I would only punch you once? Qin Sun laughed coldly as he flipped his sleeve and left. Chao Yang was red with anger. His body moved and stood in front of Qin Sun. You've punched me, don't you even dare to walk out of here. Scram! Qin Sun roared in fury. He tightened his fist till it made cracking noises and greenish veins were popping under his skin. Qin Feiyang and Commander Chao quickly stood up. He frowned and said, Sunner, calm down. I know you're worried about Pinyo's health, but you can't vent your anger upon others. Although Chao Yang's father was only a commander, he had a good relationship with Zhang Qian. Even so, he shouldn't be doing this. Younger. Commander Chaos swept a gaze at his own son. You're normally very calm and collected. Why is it you said such a thing on this very day? Even though he was mad at Qin Sun for his actions, but nevertheless, it was Chao Yang's fault to begin with. Even so, he still believed that his son would not say such a thing on a whim. The princess brought a herb dish for Lady Qin. I was honestly feeling happy for her, but in the end, Qin Sun didn't think it through and decided to punch me. Am I not innocent? The more he thought about it, the angrier he became. His kind gesture was misunderstood and misinterpreted. How could he remain calm? Qin Sun's emotion had gotten the better of him. His anger took over his rationale. Ignoring whatever Chao Yang had just said, Qin Sun threw another punch at Chao Yang. In the blink of an eye, Qin Feiyang appeared in front of Chao Yang, blocking his punch. Sunner, don't be emotional. Qin Feiyang frowned at Qin Sun and then shifted his gaze to Chao Yang. Young Master Chao, did you just say that the princess brought a herbal dish? Chao Yang replied sarcastically, remember the time I've told all of you about the scar-removing herbal dish? That was given to me by the princess. And now the princess brought some herbal dish for the lady, so the lady should get better. Instead of acknowledging people's goodwill, Qin Sun decided to attack me. Qin Sun wanted to vent his anger, but some of the things that Chao Yang said rang in his ears and he faltered during his speech. What did you just say? Not long ago, Chao Yang received a prescription which could remove scars. He raised that topic today, hoping that Qin Feiyang and he could head over to the general manor and present it as a gift to Nalan Zhangqian. That's why the words herbal dish was not something foreign to Qin Sun. So that's why a smile appeared upon Qin Feiyang's face. The princess has already turned over a new leaf. She will never hurt Pinyao. Plus, there's ear by Pinyao's side. You don't have to be overly concerned. Sunner, you have indeed overreacted, plus you've hurt young Master Chao. Qin Sun was speechless. That evil wench turned over a new leaf. How can he believe that? Father. Why do you trust the princess? Qin Sun's eyes were filled with surprise, as he turned to face Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang chuckled as he said, do you remember the spirit wine that I drank at the general's manor? That wine was gifted to the general by the princess. Even if the princess accidentally bought such good wine, the general already told her the value of the wine. But she insisted that the general accept her gift. Do you think that the princess of the past would present such a valuable item to the Nalan family? I'm afraid she would have given it as a sign of loyalty to noble consort Rong. Qin Feiyang's face lit up with a huge smile, but after thinking about Qin Sun's overreaction, his face sank a little. On another note, You owe young Master Chow an apology. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.